welcome into Between the Pylons. And if you're listening on the podcast, I know there was an extra long intro there, but we're trying to let Jacob finish his third shot. There he goes. I'm taking 3 shots for Jeff Driscoll.
Was that vodka? That was vodka.
Was it?
That tasted like vodka.
I don't know. Did he fuck you up?
It felt like Taka.
It felt like Taka.
Which, if you don't know what Taka is, it's you've lived a great life. Yeah, it's the worst vodka you can have. Yeah.
So look, I love this game. I'm really upset we didn't have a bet for week 2, but week 3, Jeff Driscoll. Which the sad part is. And I'll concede, you were totally right. My argument was that Jeff Driscoll was a fine backup quarterback, right? Like a very simple, like he's a reasonable backup quarterback. Game manager. You know, he's had 8 starts. He hasn't been terrible. Yeah, look, I'm gonna sit here and say I was wrong because he was fucking awful last week. Yeah.
So he hit 190. He ended up not finishing the game. Played really bad.
I didn't even know he didn't finish the game. I'm not gonna lie.
But I lost.
The last thing I saw, he was at like 172 or something like that, and I turned it off and I was like, it was the fourth quarter, but it was like the beginning of the fourth quarter. He's gonna hit that pretty easily. I knew I hit it, but we were texting back and forth. You started to give me shit because you were like, you're not gonna act like he was good, and I had to be like, you're right, I'm not.
I thought you were. I really thought you were going to sit here and defend Jeff Driscoll.
No,
so
hell no.
I got it out of the way.
I was wrong on that one, but I only had to take 1 shot. You had to take 3, so I'm fucking happy.
Robbie Anderson and Jeff Driscoll. No one else.
You said you have one for this week, right?
I do.
Okay, you ready to go with it? All right, guys. Long intro. I apologize. We have a great show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about all the things that happened this past week with the NFL and college, and you know we're kind of dialing it back. We're just going to kind of have a little bit of a free reign conversation, enjoy ourselves here, and we're also obviously going to do our picks. We have been doing really good with our picks lately.
Yeah.
So the things we pride ourselves on are our locks, right? Because those are the things we actually bet on. We're 8-3 in our locks over 3 weeks, so we're doing good.
Making you money.
This is against the spread. You know, those are the things that we put the money on. We're betting it right here with you. We hope you're betting along with us right now because we're doing pretty good. I do about $10 each bet, so I'm up about $50 so far, and you know it's been pretty good,
man.
Yeah, it's very nice. Obviously, if you have a bigger bankroll than I do, you're probably making a little bit more money than me.
Yeah, it's Bovada, right?
It's Bovada. Yeah, we use it on. Yeah, we do Bovada. Also, I have started doing a Saturday pod. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it every week, but I'm gonna do every week that I see some really good prop bets because I've been really getting into prop bets. You know this, so check that out as well if you're interested in like making some really good money. I know 2 weeks ago I won like $400 on prop bets. This week didn't do as well, but I won on one of them. So I was 2 for 3 on my prop bets that I had. Yeah. So I won a little bit of money, but not as much, like $30-$40. So. Not bad. But yeah, guys, we're going to talk about some of the COVID news with the Titans and the Vikings, which, I mean, that's just crazy. We're going to talk about some college. Man, let's get right into it with the.
Yeah, what are you thinking?
Man, it's look. So we're gonna start off with with this COVID stuff, right? So a couple players on Tennessee gets COVID. Now their Tennessee is not going to be practicing this week, or at least no team scheduled practices. Vikings are in the same boat. This is a weird situation, man.
Yeah, it's really bad. So it's looking like as of now. This is Tuesday, and we just figured out this morning about the story about Tennessee testing positive for COVID.
Yeah.
And so Pittsburgh can practice. You know, Pittsburgh has nothing to do with this as of now. That's where the Titans play this weekend. So they're good to go. Mike Vrabel has said that if things fall the way that they fall, as of now, there are no team activities. There's no practice going on. But if they're cleared to go on Saturday, they're going to field a team, and they're going to go play Pittsburgh. So it's one of those things where I think we all have to understand – we have a modified season. I mean, COVID is definitely prevalent, and this is the first scare that we've seen. And I hope the NFL does the right thing because this is how bad it can get. Say they let it slip, and the Titans go play Pittsburgh. Now you have another breakout with Pittsburgh, whoever they're going to play next. And now, next thing you know, every team is eating up their buys because I've heard one scenario is that just let the Titans and Vikings take the bye. You know, just let it be done. You have time when you can reschedule. Give them
a second bye.
Let the Vikings opponent play Pittsburgh's opponent too. I've heard that one. So there's different ways it can go. I hope they do the right thing because this is the first time that I've been scared again since a long time ago. You know. But
we've gotten lucky, man. I mean, we're 3 weeks in. We've had
a lot of good football.
Yeah, some great football, great games. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. And obviously, this is something I woke up to. So, some of the news, some of the extra stuff we should talk about. Nobody was tested on Sunday. Apparently, that's not part of protocol. There's a lot of extra rules that I'm not really going to get into here. But I did a little bit of research before this pod. They were all tested on Monday, right? So Monday morning, they were all tested.
Yeah.
And it came back that a couple Titans players did get COVID. Now, obviously, that information is sealed. They're not letting that. We're not going to know who that was. Could have been a practice squad dude. Could have been.
Were they tested on Saturday?
They tested on Saturday. Well,
Friday. Like, when was the time before the game? Because I know they were tested before they got on the flight to go to Minnesota.
Okay, so 8 Titans employees were infected by Bowen. Titans received results before they departed Nashville for Minneapolis, and Bowen was held back from making the trip. So there's a player for the Titans that was. Had a
their linebacker coach had it.
So the linebacker coach has it. So the players go. He gets held back. I'm not sure about Saturday. That's a good question. I have an article up here.
That's the thing, because that's one of the things they've said in their testing is that they do this 48 hours. So they are hoping that they can show, okay, you got it before you left. So now we have this infected group is in the Vikings.
Yeah.
And now we need to figure out who has it, who they've been in contact with, so we can nip that out. I don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, in the grand scheme of things, and Titans fans, you may not agree with me on this because I know we love our football, I would think it was best if they were to cancel the game. I'm just thinking the big picture. I'm just afraid that we're going to have something that is so good. I've been enjoying it so much watching football again. I don't want one small pop to be the end of it.
Yeah. And the other side of this, and, whether it's fair or not, so Titans play the Steelers. Who do the Vikings play? I forget. They play the Texans. So that's 4 teams that are affected. The Steelers and the Texans have nothing to do with this COVID. They just happen to be the team that's facing it, right? Well, they have a week of practice. They're going to prepare like they have a game. Nothing changes for them, right? Yeah. Now, look, the Texans, 0-3 team looking for a win. The Steelers, this is an AFC matchup. These are good games. These are important games, really. I mean, in the grand scheme of things.
Well, it's 2 3-0 teams and 2 0-3 teams.
Yeah, exactly. Going up against each other. I mean, 2 games that I would have been really excited to see. I tend to agree with you for not only yes, the COVID part of it, but regardless, the Titans and Vikings are not going to get a normal week of practice. They are at a huge disadvantage, regardless of the home away, all that other crap that goes into it. They're at a huge disadvantage right now, no matter what happens, that's kind of unfair for the Texans and the Steelers. I'm sure Texans and Steelers fans are hoping they see a game.
Well, it's to their advantage. Yeah, at this point,
it definitely is. Now you mentioned having the Texans and Steelers play. That would be a weird one. I guess you could get that going.
They just played.
Oh, shit.
That's the problem.
Oh, shit. I forgot about that. You're right. They did just play. Would they play twice in a row? No, you wouldn't do that, would you? Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
that threw me off.
It throws the whole vibe off of what do you do? Do you just let all of these... Because then it would be unfair for the Texans in Pittsburgh to be asked to use their bye week this early on in the year whenever they just came into it. But like I said... We went into the season knowing we were going to get a modified version of football. So in some areas, we're going to have to get, clipped off a little bit here. Yeah, we're going to have to give and take.
Yep.
And I just don't know which way they're going to go. I've seen 2 conflicting reports saying that as of now, the Titans game is on. Pittsburgh's practicing, but then they think it's going to get canceled. We just got to wait and see. This is as of Tuesday at 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, look, that's really all we can say right now is we don't have enough information to truly give you the full picture because we record this on a Tuesday, and a lot of what we do during the season is talking about last week, and this is trying to project 3, 4, 5 days into the future, and that's really tough to do. Sorry, I just burped because of that shot. That one shot really got me, man.
I got 3 brewing.
Man, and so like. I guess there's nowhere else to go. We know that as far as our picks go, we're just striking those games off the record, regardless of how they play. We're not going to judge ourselves based on this because there's just too many, unfair circumstances.
Yeah, really exactly.
So that's a tough one, man. I don't know. I hope they just don't play. I really do. I'd like to just see.
Let's look at the game real quick, both of them. We can get them out of the way as if they were to play. Vikings, Texans. These are 2 0-3 teams. My Vikings. It's sad, man. I think
Vikings win this game.
I feel like we are a better than 0-3 team. I felt like we've had one game in the Packers where we got beat. The Colts was just dismantled from start to finish. We didn't look good. But the Titans, I truly felt like we were the better team on Sunday.
You were. You were the better football team. At times, look, the Titans, they came away with a win. And they, I'm not going to sit here and say they were undeserving. Titans have played to their opponents the past 2 weeks. They played Jacksonville really close and then played the Vikings really close. If that's what the Titans are going to do, they are going to have a very stressful season.
The good thing, though, is, like I said before the year, they play to their opponent a lot. And a lot of times in the history's past, they've lost those games. Yeah. And that's what comes down to that 8-8, 9-7 record. They're 3-0.
This is one of those things, though. Like, we're looking at a 3-0 team at the end of the year. And look, I'm going really far into the future.
Yeah.
But at the end of the year, I'm going to look at every single team and how many one-score games did they win versus how many did they lose, right? Things like that are historically, they usually go back to the mean. So I'm going to look at this Titans team and say, well, that's not going to happen in the future, right? We're already at 3. We're already at 3. They played Denver close. Granted, they were clearly the better football team. They played them close because of a kicker. A kicker messed up. They stalled in the red zone. Stuff like that is what it is, right? Then they go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville looked for real. Jacksonville, I mean, they were just able to move the ball at will. And, honestly, we're through 3 weeks. I'm looking at the Titans defense. It's not as good as we thought it was going to be. I'm just going to say that right now. And then, of course, the Vikings, again, played them very close last week. So looking at the Titans versus the Steelers, I actually think the Steelers would win that game. I really do.
I think the Steelers' defensive line, their defense is something that Cam Hayward is elite, Devin Bush is elite, and they have Minkah Fitzpatrick up top. The level system is thriving. That's not even mentioning TJ Watt.
I was going to say, you missed their best player, in my opinion. TJ Watt's a baller.
They're crazy all around. And Big Ben still is Big Ben.
Look, their passing game is legit. Look, James Conner is an average running back in the NFL, in my opinion. That's all he is.
Okay.
They act like he's a baller, and like he's fine. He's a fine running back. He's not special, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like that's just me. I'm not trying to shit on him. I actually thought when they put in the Memphis kid last week, right? I watched a little bit of that game. I didn't actually get a chance to go back and watch it yet.
Anthony
McFarland. He had some spark last week, man. He really did. So third, fourth quarter, they started putting him in, and he was very noticeable that he had an extra gear that Connor didn't have and that Snell truly didn't have either. So that's worth mentioning. But yeah, you look at the Steelers, their passing game is amazing. Deontay Johnson, who's now struggling with some injury issues, is a baller. Obviously, Juju Smith-Schuster belongs in that slot role. James Washington, look, I don't know if we're ever going to get the James Washington they were looking for, but he is a deep threat type of guy. They have a great 3 wide receiver set. Obviously, Eric Ebron's up there too. He looks pretty good. I like the Steelers this year. They look good. Yeah, their quarterback Roethlisberger looks like they're prepared.
They are atop the AFC North as of now.
As of now, they are, man, and that's going to be a fight till the end. I really believe that. Especially because the Bengals, obviously, they're the Bengals, and the Browns are stalling already. We're not seeing the Browns that I actually expected.
They're 2-1.
They're 2-1, but they're not looking as good as they could.
Ravens are 2-1.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, look, we're 3 games in.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Record based through 3 weeks. All you can ask is by week 9, we're not going to remember that they started out a little slow, just depending on how the rest of the games go.
That's totally fair, and that's a really good argument for the Titans. Look, the Titans haven't looked like they're all the way ready to go yet,
but they're 3-0.
Exactly. You don't have to look great. If you're 3-0, you're fine. The 49ers in the same boat. They're 2-1. Haven't looked great. Dealt with a lot of injuries early. If they can figure it out, they can get some of their players back. They'll be fine. You can say that about a lot of teams, honestly.
You can, for better or worse. Yeah. And one being my Vikings in this game as to why I would honestly lean towards the Texans.
Oh, I think if all things are considered, the Vikings would beat the Texans.
If all things are considered, we wouldn't be 0-3 though. That's the issue.
Well, no, I'm saying we had
a Justin Jefferson breakout game.
Yeah,
175 yards, 7 catches, and a touchdown. He looked great.
Looked amazing.
It looked like the draft pick that we got rid of Stephon Diggs for, which, in the grand scheme of things, I am very excited for it. It looks like this might pan out as a whole thing because his first 2 weeks.
Well, it really felt like they said, "Fuck, we don't have any offensive anything else outside of Delvin Cook really working. We need to get this dude involved," and they did. I mean, they just started throwing it to him. He started getting the targets.
We have a decimated defense.
Yeah.
And we still lost, and it's just
listen, man. You have a decimated defense against an offense that has that's one note. I mean, you're going up against the Houston. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Vikings are great. I don't think the Texans are very good right now. The Texans, they're a one-note offense. They have Deshaun Watson, and that's it. And look, that might be enough this week. It easily could be. Deshaun Watson's going to be enough of plenty of weeks. They're going to get.
If you want what I want to happen, it would be a Vikings win.
Well, of course.
But based off of how wrong I have been in my head, I thought we were a legitimate 11-5, 10-6 football.
And we talked about that last week. You know,
it's once again 3 weeks. You never know.
Yeah.
Now, what was the stat behind how many teams? I think it was 6 teams.
So 6 teams since 1980 have gone 0-3 and made the playoffs. We're looking at the Houston Texans and the Vikings, both teams that you didn't have the Texans making the playoffs. I did. You know, both teams that some people at least had making the playoffs are 0-3 going up against each other. Going to get really hard when it gets to 0-4, 0-5. Like, that's just a tough road to climb. Granted, the numbers are skewed, and this was something that was pointed out to me after we did last week's pod where we talked about the 0-2 teams that can still make the playoffs. The numbers are skewed because we have something we never had. There's 2 extra playoff teams from now on.
It's true.
So we don't know how that would affect the stats going forward. I'm not about to go back and look at all those numbers. I'm sure somebody else will at some point, and we'll get that next level analysis. But as far as just the Vikings versus the Texans, taking away the COVID thing, because I do agree, you know, the Vikings without a week of practice are not going to be doing very good. But I do believe the Vikings offense against this Texans defense, which is just shit all around, they're going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to run their offense, and the Vikings offense is more set up to control a game. Now, if their offense can't get going, they're screwed, right? Their defense is not good enough. We've learned that. We know that through 3 weeks, right? At least not yet. But their offense this week against this Texans team, if their offense gets going, this Texans team is in serious trouble because the Texans don't have the ability or the patience to run the ball and control the game. They will win one way. We all know that,
it's
right?
It's through Deshaun,
Yeah, we know this game lives and dies. The Texans season lives and dies through Deshaun Watson because look, they traded away their best offensive weapon outside of Deshaun. They have a running back who's okay, but they're not giving him more than 10 to 15 carries a game. Granted, some of that's game script, but some of that's just the fact that they don't want to run the ball. That's not what they want to do. They want to air it out. They want to let Deshaun be Deshaun. Problem is, you don't have an offensive line that's really set up to block 40 times a game. So, I mean, pass block 40 times a game. So, I have a hard time sitting here and saying that the Texans would win this game straight up if it weren't for the COVID thing, which I understand that's a huge element. If these teams play, I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't touch it. But if these 2 teams play, I would still think Texans win. But in a neutral setting, in a neutral situation, I would pick the Vikings.
I hope, man. Vikings combined opponent schedule is 8-1.
Yeah.
You know, we have the 3-0 Packers that we have played, and we just finished playing the 3-0 Titans.
Yeah.
The Colts were 2-1. It's it's rough. Maybe it's one of those things where you look at the Bears, 3-0.
Yeah.
I think the Bears have had some very easy opponents.
They
also had the Falcons
right?
last week. Exactly. They're the imposter when you look at all 3-0 teams out there. It's like, they don't line up well with that. No. You're a 3-0 team who just benched your starting quarterback.
Yeah,
how are you?
I would love to see the stat. Like, is that I don't think that's ever happened before, at least not in my memory, where a team that is 3-0, that is not lost a game, would have benched their starter. Right? It's just weird.
And I'm not going to sit here and say Trubisky he doesn't deserve that job anyways. I know that. I think this team is more efficient with Nick Foles. I think Matt Nagy can bring more out of Nick Foles with the RPO game, hopefully. Now, it stinks losing Tariq Cohen. He tore his ACL. We're not doing a huge injury talk because, believe it or not, it really wasn't.
It wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad, and it's just not fun to talk about injuries. It's just
true,
not. It's sad. And there weren't any huge injuries, I don't think, off the top of my head.
Compared to last week, not even close.
Yeah.
Last week was something that we'll never see again,
Hopefully, yeah, knock on wood. So that actually brings up a good question because we talked about in this pod, like we like to have like our decrees, right, of different players, and we've always called Nick Foles the best backup quarterback in the NFL. And it was actually funny coming into this week. I was actually thinking about like doing a little like dumb segment where I talked about how Nick Foles is still the best backup quarterback because everywhere he goes, he makes his starter so much better. And Trubisky over the first 2 weeks had been looking good, and he looked like he was going in the right direction for once. Obviously, this week was a huge roadblock for that. So that idea was scrapped for good reason. But we look at Foles as a really good backup quarterback that just isn't ever really quite there, right? Ever since he had his chance in St. Louis back in the day after he left the Eagles. Obviously had that great Eagles season where he went like 26-2 touchdown to interception ratio. Since then, backup quarterback wins the Super Bowl. Backup quarterback goes to Jacksonville, gets the starting job, gets benched for a 6th, 7th round pick, something like that.
Yeah.
Then obviously goes to the Bears. Now he's back in the starting position here, gets that starting job as of yesterday, and can't had that comeback win. That's great. Let's look at what Trubisky is, right? He is not. We can close the book on him being a starting quarterback in the NFL. No franchise is ever going to truly trust this kid to be a starter, right? At least not yet. Maybe
You're
he has
in
a
really
resurgence.
bad spot if you. There's a chance for a resurgence. We've seen
years down the line.
The physicality of Trubisky is one of the things. Like his ability to extend plays is there. Yeah. He can scramble and make plays is there. But his decision making after he can buy you time, but you don't want him to because what he does with that bought time.
Yeah. And he's made some plays. He has some athletic ability. Look, we talked about it, I think, before the season. You asked me, what are the chances that he actually puts it all together this year? And I talked about, there's some good things to talk about here. But you look at Trubisky, his best chance of being a starter is to go somewhere, be a backup, and then earn that starting job. Pull maybe a Ryan Tannehill. But I don't think that's a fair comparison. Ryan Tannehill was much better for the Dolphins than Trubisky ever was for the Bears. You might want to disagree with me with that, but as a Dolphins fan, I feel pretty confident saying that Tannehill was not the problem in Miami. For the most part,
let's move forward with the Bears then.
As well, I'll let you go first, and I want to go. What is Trubisky now?
Trubisky now is a backup quarterback. I really think so.
You was saying that though, right? Yeah.
I don't know if he's willing to accept that role because, like I said, there are times where you see the flash. You see the fourth quarter. He had an amazing pass in week 2 in the fourth quarter. It could have been week 1. I can't remember. It's all jumbled up right now.
Yeah.
But to Anthony Miller, it was a straight up just drop in the basket right over top. Yeah. It is what you want to see out of Trubisky. There are times that he is great, but the simple things do not come simple to him.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that will keep him out of being an NFL quarterback. Your franchise is better off with Nick Foles, a guy his ceiling is limited, but his floor is there.
Yeah.
And the floor will win you games. Because what do you want to be if you're a Chicago Bears fan? I would want to have a decent offense, an offense that can get down the field, and Nick Foles, and trust your defense. That's what you're there for.
That's what they're there right now. Yeah, and they have that.
And I think they are a playoff caliber team if they stick to that. Trubisky throws it off.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely agree with you. And here's the real question, because, we look at Marcus Mariota. I think that's a good one. First round bust. Actually, I think they're both second pick in the draft, too, actually. So I think that works out really well. First round bust, just wasn't able to put it all together with their first team. Now Mariota is going to be backup. And I actually think Mariota has the perfect mindset to be a backup in this league for a long time, right?
He's too nice.
Well, yeah, but we always talk about that as a starter. Like he needs some more grit.
Yeah, he'll be a great backup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As a backup, he can bounce around the league for a long time. I feel like as a backup, I think Trubisky has that kind of ability. He has the arm. He has the physical mechanics of an arm. Like he has a good enough arm in the NFL to be a backup. It's a good enough playmaking ability as far as getting out of the pocket. You're not total like Jeff Driscoll last week. We talking about backups. Jeff Driscoll was an absolute statue in the pocket. Like, he could not get out of his own way. He had no playmaking ability outside of just, throwing these underneath routes, right? I would argue that, while Trubisky doesn't have the deep ball very well, or, he definitely is missing aspects of his game, he can at least make plays now and then.
No, they can. It's, for me, I think that I am blinded by the second overall pick.
Yeah.
It's so hard to well, it's hard to get in that mentality. When you mention backup quarterback, I'm thinking of I don't know, Trevor Siemian, those kind of guys. Tom Savage.
The guys that have bounced around.
True backup quarterbacks. McCown, Josh McCown. Those kind of subpar guys that can just plug and play instant. Yeah. Trubisky and Mariota are almost too good to be a backup.
See, I disagree.
Jameis
is the ultimate too good to be a backup guy.
Too good to be a backup, but it's a good backup.
Yeah, I would argue Jameis has unreal arm talent. Just by itself, Jameis, I can't imagine what it's like for the guys in New Orleans, and not to shit on Drew Brees, but Drew Brees' arm is lacking. He doesn't have the deep ball. I cannot imagine what it's like to watch Jameis Winston throw the ball around he's just an absolute baller, and then watch Drew Brees, who he's checked down Charlie at this point. He's a great mid-range to short game. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we talked about it last year. We actually got some flack in the comments when we did our
I was about to say, be careful saying something about Drew, because
we got some flack, and that's okay. But look, I'll sit here and say right now, 3 weeks in, we were right about Drew Brees when we said, you know, should the Saints move on from Drew Brees? What should the Saints do about the quarterback position? We sat here, you know, not here, but like we sat in front of a camera and we talked about the Saints and what they should do with the quarterback. And we kind of wrote Drew Brees off, and maybe that was unfair, and we kind of got some shit for it, which is fine. You know, that comes with the territory. But we were right in the grand scheme of things, were we not? I mean,
well, his average pass attack was 4.8 yards.
Yeah, and
you can't check down Charlie, like you said.
Listen, everyone's sitting here, you know, acting so astonished that Drew Brees is not a good pass. We told you that a year ago. I mean, we were talking about this last year.
I'm not going to go as far as you will. I think part of it is he's afraid to make him like it's almost like a.
I don't want to, because I don't want it to sound like I'm shitting on him. I really don't. I think Drew Brees, he can run his offense just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But for people to sit here and be shocked that he doesn't have the deep ball, he didn't have the deep ball a year and a half ago.
I feel like he's holding back.
I think he's holding back because he doesn't have it.
And there's a chance.
That's possible.
There's an argument for that. The other side is just I feel like maybe he's not wanting to make that mistake. Mm-hmm. Like you said, maybe because he doesn't know if he has it. He doesn't want to push that boundary. And I don't know where it puts us because I feel like there's times where he could push the envelope. Old Drew Brees would attack. He would come at your throat. He was a surgeon on the field. Yeah. But he was not a surgeon limited under 10 yards.
No,
he would attack the middle. He could throw 25-yard outs like no problem.
Oh, yeah.
He would just decimate a defense, and it feels like now that's why it's the Alvin Kamara show. Yeah. I mean, honestly. Yeah. And when you play great defensive minds, we saw it last week from Bill Belichick whenever they played the Raiders, they will double your flats. Yeah. They will make sure it's like, okay, Drew Brees doesn't throw the ball past 8 yards. Well, I'll tell you where we're going to put our hard zones at. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a hard go. There's a reason that they lost to the Raiders on that Monday night game that was kind of a surprise.
Yeah. And Michael Thomas not being there is a huge It
is, but that's without that security blanket. Yeah. Oh man, I didn't think you needed him that much. Yeah. I thought Drew Brees helped Mike Thomas more than Mike Thomas helped Drew Brees.
Which I do think I think that has been true, you know, to the beginning. I would say the problem with not having Mike Thomas is the fact that they don't have anybody else behind him. Emmanuel Sanders is not the guy he was 2 years ago.
He's not bad though.
He's not bad. I'm
Jared
just saying,
Cook is a good tight end.
Yeah, Jared Cook's a good tight end. You're absolutely right. They have weapons. I'm just looking at.
Don't make excuses for him.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That's fair.
There's a reason they have a Taysom Hill fold in their offense.
Where they want to try to push go the deep. Ball. They go deep with Taysom Hill. You're absolutely right. But you know that all goes back to
Saints are still a great team. Yeah. They're going to be in the playoffs, and
people are freaking out a little bit too much.
For me, I want to see Drew just let it rip 1 week. I don't care if you throw 3 picks. I want to see you try.
I think he does.
He does. I know.
We talked about this kind of last week with Kirk Cousins, which you know you can give Kirk Cousins a lot of shit. At least he goes and tries to win the game, right?
Yeah,
like
he's willing to push the
ball.
He
is willing to throw the ball down the field. Yes, he'll throw a pick here and there, but if he is down, 14 points in the fourth quarter, he would rather throw that pick than go off the field.
He would.
So you have to respect that. There's other quarterbacks out there that won't do that, and their numbers help them in the long run, and everyone forgets. But guys like us, we don't forget. So yeah, no, I absolutely agree. That all came back from a Jameis Winston thing. Let me ask you this. Okay, so they would never bench Drew Brees. No, we know that. If
he's the hero, so you'll go down with the hero.
But let me ask you this: if Drew Brees got hurt, are the Saints in a better position to win?
I can't say that. I'm going to say no. Yeah, I'll take the no because I feel like you're the yes here. But I don't know if we can trust Jameis yet.
I'll say no too.
He was a 30 touchdown, 30 interception guy. He threw for 5,000 yards last year. I mean, it was statistically elite. Besides the interceptions. I don't know if he's gotten that under control yet because we haven't gotten to see it.
Yeah.
I think this is an offense that Drew Brees can run to perfection, but defenses will the elite teams will hone in on what you like to do, and they're going to make you hurt for it. Yeah, and that's one of the things. The Saints will beat any middle-of-the-road team, but when you play the Packers, when you play the Patriots, when you play those elite guys.
You catch a good game from the Raiders, which we'll say the Raiders are middle of the road, but they caught a good game from the Raiders, and that's going to happen. I do agree with you. I really do. What about the Packers this year? They're throwing it all over the yard. They're letting Aaron Rodgers cook.
Yeah, it's one of the things where I think we can eat a little bit of crow as of now.
Yeah.
I thought they would come out flat. I thought that they would come out after the championship game and just, like I said, I always said they were the worst 13-3 team we've seen.
Yeah. As and that was fair. I mean, it was.
It was. Last year they had a lot of close games where they were somehow able just to get it done.
This year they don't look like that.
Aaron Rodgers came out swinging. It really shows that he is going to show the Packers front office. Get me some damn weapons.
I think we kind of always laughed about drafting a backup in the first round. Maybe it was better for them to draft a backup in the first round than a wide receiver.
Because you done pissed off your guy.
You lit a fucking fire under this dude's ass. lit an absolute fire under the best quarterback in the NFL.
Did you see his no-look pass?
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was insane. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Aaron Rodgers walked so Pat Mahomes could run.
Yeah.
That's what it was. He is the unsung hero of this. And I'm a Vikings fan giving him props. As I should, because he is the guy who has been doing this week in and week out since he was 20-something years old after Brett left.
I have said it so many times, and I'll say it again, and I've gotten shit here and there for it, but for the most part, I do think people will agree with me to an extent.
Oh, you're about to say he's the best ever.
I'm going to say he has been let down by an offense for years. There was a time, I'll say from 2012 to 2016, 17, that range of NFL football, he was the most talented quarterback in the NFL. He would, like, week in and week out, he would do shit that just absolutely astonished me. No, he had all the yards and numbers, but he didn't have the Super Bowls or anything. They were never the best team in the NFL, I don't think. Maybe at some points they were. But, I mean, he was just constantly shocking me, and shocking people with the amount of talent he has, the amount of amazing throws he would hit, the amount of fourth quarter comebacks, all those things were just absolutely astonishing. And look, he's back to form. I really believe that.
The team is running well, and they've shown different ways they run well. Week one, they will let Aaron Rodgers come out and pick apart your secondary and the Vikings, who, we weren't ready yet. We weren't skilled enough. He was able to have a field day and do what you will with it. Yeah. And then week two, Aaron Jones show. Yeah. He's involved in the passing game. He has really proved himself as one of the most versatile Swiss Army knife running backs that you will. Yeah. That's why I was excited to see Aaron Jones and Kamara kind of go at it. Mm-hmm. And I did not think a Devontae – I was about to change my pick. Because I picked the Packers, you picked the Saints going into this matchup. Yeah. Knowing Devontae was out, I was about to change my pick because I didn't know which Packers receiver would step up. It didn't matter. Aaron Rodgers was the guy at the helm, and he made it.
Allen Lazard, kind of, but I mean, even that was
He did good, but I'm not going to sit here and talk about MVS or Lazard because 90% of that is from A-Rod.
Yeah. I mean, when a guy literally, I mean, the equivalent of handing you a football, like that's how beautiful the deep ball is.
And that's you're not going to give the wide receiver 45 yards down the field.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to give the wide receiver credit. So we talked about the Packers, and I want to go back to a take that I had in the offseason. I want to go back to the Cowboys. Okay. I want to talk about McCarthy. Give me your take on what the Cowboys are this year.
Sad.
It's disappointing, right?
It's really sad because they're 1-2. And we can go back to week 2 about them being 0-3.
They are 1-2, or they should absolutely be 0-3. There's no reason if the Falcons weren't the biggest choke artists of all time, which I think we should go there next.
We will.
But I mean, I'll let you go.
No, it's sad, man. Kellen Moore is still at the helm of the offense, and I've watched some of their games, and their passing attack is doing pretty good. All 3 receivers are getting involved heavily. Zeke isn't running the ball like he was with that fire, but he's still Zeke. It's not bad. You're able to put points up. Your defense is where you're getting hurt a lot early on in the games. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, whenever you're behind, Dak hasn't been the guy to step up and close it out for you. Yeah. I'll even say it in week 2. I mean, I know a lot of people would sit there and be like, yeah, we told you Dak was here. We told you he was here. He had 3 rushing touchdowns that were goal line pushes, like stuff like that. And they had the comeback, but that wasn't credit to the Cowboys. That was discredit to what we will talk about in a Dan Quinn-led Falcons team. And I don't know how he got on the plane back home.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know. That was the first comeback, let alone the second comeback. I don't know what you're doing as the owner there, not letting go.
So one more thing I want to go with the Cowboys. Look, I'm going to say they should absolutely be 0-3. We should not be sitting here saying, what are the Cowboys? Because, look, they had an okay game against the Seahawks, but they were never really in control of that game. The Seahawks really, honestly, I feel like they had kind of a hiccup game a little bit with just not putting the team away. Yeah. Right? And that's more...
Well, you had DK's absolute blunder that was a 7-point swing.
It was a 14-point swing. Yeah, really, because it's a fumble out of the end zone, which was a sure-handed touchdown, right? It was a
Cowboys
touchdown.
Ball, they
Cowboys go down. That's a 14-point swing in the game. All right, this game was a blowout if it wasn't for that. I mean, essentially. So we can sit here and say, ooh, it was a 6-point game, whatever. The Cowboys made it look close. It wasn't close. The Seahawks were moving the ball at will. They could have run the ball. They could have thrown the ball. It didn't matter. It wasn't close. I'm sorry.
At the end of the day, it did come down to a goal line thing where Dak threw an interception. Yeah. Any comment on the Jerry Jones comment? What he said
so I never heard it. All I saw was the second report.
Jerry Jones,
and I can pull it up if you want.
Yeah, no, I mean you can go ahead just to fact check it. But off the top of my head, Jerry Jones was explaining. They were talking about the difference in a Pat Mahomes and a Dak Prescott.
That's not even a question.
He said Jerry Jones said Dak Prescott not being able to pull off the last play of the game against Seattle is the difference between he and Pat Mahomes. And then he went even farther and said Tony Romo. They could have pulled it off. And it kind of lets you go into, is Jerry going to mess up with his franchise quarterback? I don't know. What is this team without Dak?
They're still a good team. I'm sorry. Look, we shit on Dak, and Dak is a good quarterback.
Well, they're still a very good team, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good quarterback. I think he deserves to be the starting quarterback for the Cowboys. I really do. So I'll start there. But I mean, this Cowboys team is fucking good, man.
They are.
I mean, they have backup offensive linemen, like 6th and 7th offensive linemen that's starting on most teams, right? So let's start there. They have a great running game. They have 3 legit weapons. Michael Gallup finally showed up. And the defense, yes, the defense has struggled a little bit. Their backfield isn't awesome, but you still have some great linebackers. Yes, they hit some injuries. Van Der Esch being out has really hurt them. And their defense line isn't as good as maybe we thought it was going to be. But all in all, they have put together a good football team. They really have, and like their defense has not shown up yet, but I think it can. You
can't blame Jerry Jones for voicing concern here because he is time and time again put money out of his pocket to get a good team together, and it's like, where's my ring?
I think we look at, and maybe this is some bias because I look at number 15, and he has so much help from the scheme. Like, we know Mahomes has talent, right?
Yeah.
We see it 3 or 4 times a game where he just pulls off unreal throws, miraculous plays that most quarterbacks in the league aren't having, and that's the difference between good and great, right? But I will say he also gets a lot of help from a scheme that is friendly to him, that gets the most out of their weapons, gets the most out of their offense. He gets 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 per game of plays that are just, here you go. Here's 10 yards. Here's a 10-yard play because we're more clever than you. Oh, here's a goal line touchdown to your fullback because we're more clever than the other team, right? Like, plays like that help your team with the play calling. And look, we can blame Kellen Moore just because he's not a creative play caller. I'm blaming this offensive scheme in general that is just not creative enough in it. Look, it's the same scheme from last year. I thought they would change it up. I think Jerry Jones is mad at the wrong thing. Jerry Jones is mad at his quarterback for not pulling off these miraculous plays. You're right. Dak Prescott is not Patrick Mahomes.
No, he's not.
He's not. He's not among the top 5 quarterbacks.
Is.
Yeah, but I'll go so far as he's not among like the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL that can pull off these amazing throws. He's not, fine. We know that. Still a good starting quarterback, and if you helped him out, maybe. I mean, you have all these weapons. You can call some unique plays. You can have some creativity in your offense that helps him out. It's the same offense we've seen 10 years ago. It's the same fucking offense.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a match made in heaven whenever you compare him to the Chiefs because you have. Let's go back to the Alex Smith-led Chiefs. I mean, we still had Andy Reid at the helm, who is an absolute genius in making his guys, their pros, shine out on the field. And Dak is good because I'll actually come to Dak's defense. And it's weird. I've been a guy who's always been a lot of times he gets compared to like it's not compared, but like a versus Josh Allen type of thing.
I got you, yeah.
And, Dak's a good quarterback. Dak can make some plays, but if you were asking him to do Pat Mahomes things without putting a coach and a system around him that is really going to involve this, I think their offensive caliber can match the Chiefs. They have the names. Let's take away the quarterback position. I don't because
of course
Pat Mahomes has puts it on another
that's
level.
a great way to do it. Let's do that right now.
Yeah.
Offensive line 1v1. Cowboys win that. Zeke Elliott or CEH?
Zeke wins.
Let's go just wide receiver core versus wide receiver core. Would you rather have Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb for what they are right now, or Tyreek Hill, Allen Robinson, and Watkins?
Demarcus Robinson.
Yeah, I said Allen Robinson. Excuse me. Demarcus Robinson, Tyreek Hill, and Sammy Watkins.
It's the Cowboys.
Because
if you take away the quarterback out of that, Pat Mahomes is able to elevate those guys to next level stuff.
Pat Mahomes is the great equalizer.
Yes.
Pat Mahomes is absolutely the great equalizer, and there is an argument to be made that CEH fits the Chiefs' offense better than a Zeke would, and I think that's probably fair.
Regardless, if we're going to,
but we're just saying apples to apples, right? Take away the scheme. We're just saying talent to talent. I'd probably rather have Tyreek Hill more than the other two, but you give me the Lamb and the Gallup on top of an Amari Cooper, I'll take the wide receiver.
Overall depth-wise, the Cowboys have a good team, and the fans should be upset because this is a legitimate Super Bowl caliber team, and it is not working out right now. I don't know what's wrong. I don't want to blame McCarthy. I still think it's Jerry Jones believing in Kellen Moore from last year because I was surprised when Mike McCarthy kept Kellen Moore. I was. I think they do a lot of single back, very, very scripted runs, and then it's 3rd and 6, and they do play action passes with Dak, and it just doesn't really, like those intermediate third downs where they haven't been doing that good. And their defense isn't helping them.
Yeah. So I do want to say, because this conversation went beyond the Jerry Jones quote, but it is fair to know. Just kind of did a little bit of research here. The Jerry Jones, what the question was comparing the 1-2 Cowboys versus the 3-0 Chiefs, and this is on SI Cowboys Haven or whatever website. And his exact quote was, "Their quarterback Mahomes, who I think is the highest level right now because of his, frankly, as much as just his physical ability to make plays, his mobility, and this guy's very quick and elusive and can get in and out of situations with his feet and by time." Sorry, that's an exact quote, so it didn't sound great. Then Jerry Jones compliments Russell Wilson, and then Jones turns his attention to Cowboys and says, "That play Dak made at the end of the game that got intercepted," he said, "well, the results of Dak's ability that let him get the ball was really great."
Let him get the ball out.
Get the ball out. Sorry. Yeah. So he was kind of complimenting Dak. And it was just one of those situations where he's put in a bad spot. He was complimenting Russ, and then, it's still a weird quote, but maybe not worth making a big deal out of. Either way, I think our points are valid with what we're saying, right?
Well, yeah, the Cowboys aren't playing well. You have a roster you have a 3-0 roster with a 1-2 record, should be 0-3 record.
Yeah.
And as of now, what do? You're in a division where you can actually afford this.
Sure, you're lucky.
It's really sad because I'm pretty sure the Washingtons are still, and I know they are. Yeah, they're atop this division, tied with the Cowboys.
2. Yeah.
So we will see how that goes later down the road. It's one of the things where Dallas can afford this mediocrity.
This is one of those situations where I'm going to say it right now, and people are going to get tired of me saying it. I do think McCarthy deserves some of this blame. He did not bring enough of a creative play call. Maybe keeping Kellen Moore is part of the blame as well. But I'm going to blame the coaching staff more than I'm going to blame Dak. I hope I get proven wrong. There's too much talent on this team for them not to be a fucking fun team to watch. And right now, they're not a fun team to watch. And just from a football fan's perspective, they're not fun to watch. And that's sad. There's too much talent there for them not to be fun.
You're right.
Yeah. Let's turn our attentions to another coach, which we both unanimously agreed he needed to go last year. We were mid-season. We were saying, get rid of Dan Quinn. What is Dan Quinn doing with the Cowboys or with the Atlanta Falcons? He was the head coach of an offensive-led powerhouse team led by Kyle Shanahan that made it to the playoffs. They choke and lose, right? And they have never been the same since. They have all the talent in the world on offense. They're a defensive-minded coach with no defense. Some of that's injury, but whatever. And every single fucking week you choke. 2 weeks in a row, not 3 weeks in a row, but 2 weeks in a row, you gave up a 17-point lead in the third quarter. I mean, insane.
Get out of here. He doesn't need to be on the plane back home, man. It's one of those things where when you have leads and you have this caliber offense, and like you said, defensive-minded coach, you should be able to go for the throat, go for the jugular. You have a team. I mean, you have Todd Gurley. And that's the lesser point. You have Matt Ryan. You have Russell Gage as a third who's emerged. You have Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Hayden Hurst, a subpar offensive line that you have invested a lot of picks in. They just kind of banged up here and there.
What is it, 5 first-round picks at offensive line?
Close out games.
Ridiculous. Absolutely.
He should be fired.
Fucking stupid.
He should be fired.
And it's just, I mean, I don't get it. Look, Todd Gurley has no lateral quickness. He can run straight, but his lateral ability is just not
There's
there.
There's a reason they're bringing in Brian Hill.
Brian Hill is, and look, actually, I said that on the Hammercast stream that I do every Wednesday, which you guys should check out, where we talk about matchups and fancy stuff there. And I talked about, I thought that my hot take kind of was that Brian Hill was going to start getting the starting job more, and it kind of already started. I have Brian Hill in a lot of leagues just because I do think he's going to end up getting that starting gig down the line. It started this week, I think, with increased work share, and I think it's just going to keep going because Todd Gurley isn't the guy. Fine, whatever. Your running back isn't great. You're not running the ball enough for it to even matter, though. You can't blame this on Todd Gurley. You have a great quarterback, a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I think it's fair to say,
who's playing really good, mistake-free football.
He's playing well. You have great weapons. Yes, Julio didn't play this week. Whoop-de-doo. You still have great weapons. You lost Russell Gage. I don't care. You still have two legit receiving weapons in a Calvin Ridley Ridley and a Hayden Hurst. That's crazy to say. You can lose two of your top receivers and you're still sitting okay at the wide receiver position. There's no excuse. There's just absolutely no excuse. The Cowboys really, the Falcons should absolutely be 2-1 right now. We should be looking at the Falcons as a team that, you know, doesn't have it all together at defense, but they might be able to sneak in the playoffs. But they're a competitor
in that division because we have a Saints team that isn't living up to potential.
Yeah.
A Bucks team
Saints
that
are 1-2.
We've seen one, and the Bucks are 2-1.
Bucks and 2 are 1.
So it's a really close thing where the Falcons should be up there. And when you have leads like this, you can't talk about offense or defense or whatever. That comes down to the coaches. It is all coaching. It is all discipline. We saw the abysmal play, the onside kick. That is coaching. That is a special teams coach, which is directly related to Dan Quinn. And then this week, the Bears. I mean, the Bears were able to come back from 16 points.
I was sitting there. I was watching the game. I turned the game off. I switch over to the Titans-Vikings game because it was on live TV for me. And I don't even think about that game because you're playing the Bears. The Bears don't have the offensive weapon. They just sat Trubisky. There's no way that they're going to come back, right? I thought it was over.
It's directly related to coaching, and he is on borrowed time at this point. And for me, I say pull him now because I think you have a good enough team. I know it would, throw some stuff out of whack in the locker room.
I think,
but you can still save the season.
I think I get that idea. I really do think that you let it fly because I mean this franchise has been willing to lend a long leash to both the front office and the coaching staff. Honestly, the front office, look, they've done a good job in some of their draft picks. Like your first round pick's supposed to hit, so I'm not going to give you a ton of credit for the Calvin Ridley pick. Everyone knew he was going to be good. It was the same front office that traded up for Julio Jones, so they have some good moments. All in all, though, I mean, you've missed on way too many mid-round picks. You have an offense like we talk about all the time with 10 first-round picks on offense. Yeah, you shouldn't have to have that though.
Yeah, no,
like that's not a good thing.
Need that for success.
you should have guys that hit in the second, third round. I mean, look, and AJ Terrell looks great for another first-round pick. You're hitting on your first rounders. That's not enough. Anyway, I mean, you're right. I think they should clean
I can't remember the last time that we have seen a coach fired week 3 alone, but mid-season, it doesn't work like that.
The last one I remember, and as a Dolphins fan, this would be the one I remember. This was when they fired Philbin like after week 3 or 4, and then put in Coach Campbell, the tight ends coach, who was the head coach for the rest of the year. And then we ended up getting Adam Gase after that. So that was the last time I remember.
It doesn't happen a lot.
Doesn't happen a lot. Yeah, that's just
because you were pretty much throwing in the towel at that point. Yeah. And this is a very talented team that can still do it. I mean, they were a few comebacks separated away from having this happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Going back 2 years ago, they're 30 minutes away from being Super Bowl champions. And who knows the mentality that this team would have going forward. It's so weird to think about how a few moments can change the entirety of what we see, and that's where we're at.
Imagine if they had the balls to sit there to drop Dan Quinn and just hire from within and give the reins to Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, I know.
I mean, imagine, because the 49ers, obviously, they get Kyle Shanahan, they do the rebuild, now look where they are now. But, like, imagine if they had the fucking balls and Kyle Shanahan would never had to do a rebuild. He would have had his quarterback. He would have had his offense. And, I mean, I don't think they'd lose a beat.
No, they wouldn't.
That was ridiculous.
That was a Kyle Shanahan-led team to the Super Bowl right there, and we saw it go down 2 years later with the 49ers, and that's what he was able to do.
Yeah. All right, so let's switch gears. Do you want to talk about Adam Gase, or is it even worth it?
No, it's good.
Fuck Adam Gase. Let's talk a little bit college. I want to hear some thoughts because you're the college guy. I'm gonna let you bring in some thoughts here because I watched on Saturday. I have a couple thoughts, and then we'll get to our picks and we'll close out the show.
I'll throw a few jabs at the rest of the country because college football started this week with the SEC play. I know it's been going on for 3 weeks prior. Yeah. But let's be honest. When the SEC big boys join, that's when football starts because we all know what we're checking. We all know
how many people were watching Army.
Exactly.
I was, but I was real bored.
A little bit of a shout out to Kansas State. Good job upsetting Oklahoma and Spencer Rattler, their golden boy who is hyped up to be this, and he does look good at times. He's throwing some absolute dimes.
That's a freshman, though, right?
It is.
Okay,
it's going to take a little bit of time, though. It is because some people are saying he is more talented than a Kyler and Baker coming out because those guys were kind of lower down that were able to step up in Lincoln Riley's system. Back to SEC play. So
we stepped out of line.
Get away from the rest of the country. Get back to what matters here.
Let's hear it.
Auburn played Kentucky in the only top 25 matchup that we saw at a SEC play, and Auburn fared well. Kentucky is a really good team on the O-line and D-line sides of the ball, where Auburn's replacing a lot of new faces. Losing Marlon Davidson, Derek Brown on the defensive side of the ball, you'd think that'd be hard. It was a close game at first. Bo Nix played well. Seth Williams is an absolute dog. I really like our team. We are going into Georgia. Georgia struggled with Arkansas. I don't know if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
They had their freshman in Arkansas. The Razorbacks.
The Razorbacks.
The Razorbacks were out there. So
I just didn't
7 to 5 at half or something like that.
Yeah.
And their third stringer that everyone's hyped up, Mathis, really wasn't the guy. They swapped at half. So I mentioned Georgia because that's who Auburn is playing this weekend in the biggest SEC game. That's where game day is going.
He buried the lead, though.
Buried the lead.
You buried the lead. You're trying to talk about your Auburn Tigers, and that's all well and good, but I want to talk about the other Tigers. The Tigers that lost this week.
Oh, I mean, I was getting there with that. Okay. I mean, that's a huge game.
That's
saying
a huge game.
The fall of LSU was something that I knew was happening.
We both expected
now
this.
You lose Brady on offense in the system. You lose all of the talented picks. Jamar Chase was showing up to practice, and I hinted at it whenever he opted out. He showed up for 2 weeks. Went, what the fuck is this? I'm going to the NFL. Get me out of here. I'm not going to be out here whenever we lose this. And then Derek Stingley just so happens to get sick before the game. Yeah. Whenever you know you're about to face a Mike Leach air raid attack. The air raid will work in the SEC. KJ Costello set an SEC record of 600-plus yards.
It's a fun game to watch. Kylan Hill looked good as a dual threat dude.
It wasn't fun.
Well, yeah. Well, it was fun to watch. I don't know what to tell you.
KJ Costello is going to be a good quarterback this year. Yeah. Regardless of defense, Mississippi State is going to find themselves in a lot of games just because they're willing to throw the ball 60 times.
Yeah. Who did Alabama play this week?
Missouri.
They played Missouri.
And they took care of Missouri handily. Okay. Jalen Waddle looked great. He was honestly the better one out of Devontae Smith and him. Dude, Mac Jones has a mean deep ball. Yeah. Bama's the team to beat.
Yeah, they still are. We knew that.
But let's give a shout out to the East in Florida. Kyle Trask.
Baller.
5 touchdowns, 400 something yards.
I gotta go back and watch that game.
He looked immaculate. And then the more impressive part behind him was his connection with Pitts. Kyle Pitts, his tight end.
Yes.
4 touchdowns, 180 something yards. And he looks
From Kyle Pitts?
Yes.
Oh shit, I missed that.
He looks like a physical freak who is someone who is faster than an Evan Ingram, but big bodied like an OJ Howard. I'm going to go ahead and put a top 15 lock first-round pick on him. Shit. I am serious.
Already?
He is that good of a guy. The way that he is changing the game, he stretches the field like a receiver, but he plays it like old-school Jimmy Graham. Damn. He goes up and gets it and shoves your ass in the ground. Florida is going to be good. Ole Miss has a decent offense, and Florida's going to have to correct their defense because Ole Miss put up over 400 yards of offense on them. Wasn't really ready for that. Mm-hmm. But offensively, man, I'm telling you, it's one of those things. They remind me a lot of last year's LSU team. And
you think that could be the team?
Some people hinted at it.
I did hear the comparison of Trask to Joe Burrow. I heard that. I need to go back and watch that.
Trask's ability to, and Matt Miller, I think, made a terrible comp in saying that Trask is Josh Allen. That's not it. That's not it at all. Josh Allen's struggle is accuracy. Kyle Trask's strength is accuracy, and his ability. He's not a physical. He has the body to do it, but he isn't demanded to do that. I think Florida, with the way that the SEC schedule is going to go, they're going to get through it pretty easily. Nice. And they're a dark horse for a reason, man. They're going to do it.
Nice. I like it. I mean, we talked about them.
Go back and watch that game. It was really close neck and neck until about the mid-second, and then you could see he took over.
He just started balling.
And Pitts took over. God dang, I don't know. I don't know about Trask because I'm not going to say that, but Pitts, I have seen enough to say top 15 lock.
Hell yeah. I like it. You heard it here first.
I'll shave my legs if he's not a top 15 pick next year.
Pitts. I'm gonna go do a draft profile on him. What's his first name?
Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts.
It's Kyle Pitts and Kyle Trask.
Kyle Pitts. Heard. All right. Fuck it. All right. Anywhere else you want to go? I don't want to talk about the ACC at all.
No, De'Aaron King from Miami. I would like to give myself just a little bit of props.
Yeah, give yourself. De'Aaron
King's a baller, man. He's good. He is legitimately bringing the U back single-handedly, and they're fun to watch, man.
Sucks.
Y'all are really bad. It's going to get worse because I think y'all are playing Jacksonville State or something this weekend. And hear me out.
We should win that one. Don't say that.
There is some low-down buzz. I'm serious. I'm not lying. Go look this up on your own. No. There is some low-down buzz about Jacksonville State's quarterback ability.
I don't want to hear it.
I know.
I remember when Auburn almost lost to Jacksonville State and how much shit I was giving you. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. No.
I'll say it. The upset's happening this weekend.
God.
I'll say it.
Will you bet a shot on it?
Yes.
All right, so give me some. I'll give you some odds. I'll give you.
Better give me odds.
I'll give you 3-1. Well, wait, we still haven't done your shot bet.
That's not the shot bet.
Okay, fair enough. Look, so we'll save the shot bet. Your shot bet is for the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So we'll do that shot bet on air. This is an off-air shot bet, a 3-1. I will do 3 shots if Jacksonville
State is able to upset FSU.
Fair enough.
That's a deal.
I appreciate not saying who instead of.
I thought about it. Now it's LSU.
Yeah.
Because their year is over. Mississippi State is rising right now.
Look, you got the dub, and this year is a fucking asterisk anyway. You're happy LSU
cares?
fans. Who cares?
Can you really be upset if you're a fan? You got to see your guy come up, rise to the ranks.
Season, man.
And if you were going to sit there and even talk about Miles Brennan being close to leading this team to the same type of history you had last year, stop.
Yeah, you had a great season. You get to see Joe Burrow in the NFL. You get to see Justin Jefferson in the NFL. You get to see half of the LSU offense really in the NFL already. You had a good season. You can't be too upset. Not the only. There are a lot of exciting matchups coming up this weekend, SEC-wise, but it is Auburn, Georgia. JT Daniels was cleared. He is the transfer from USC last year. He is a 5-star, highly touted guy. He's good, too. I remember watching him.
And he's cleared. So he's going to make his debut this week
for
against Auburn. Yes.
Damn.
And we are going to see what happens.
Georgia was struggling with their quarterback, too.
And they really were. But at the end of the day, Georgia was still able to pull the dub. And if you only add that extra fold, it's going to come down to Bo Nix. We're going to have to see what Bo can do. Chad Morris is the offensive coordinator. And for once, I can truly say it did not look like a Gus Malzahn offense.
Really?
It didn't.
I didn't watch a snap of that game, so I don't know.
Okay, last year we threw the tight end 6 times total the entire season.
Yeah.
Minimal use across the field. We threw the tight end 5 times in one game.
Damn.
It is a Chad Morris-led offense. Okay. He is spreading the field. Bo still has a lot of ways to learn, but he's only in his second year, and he did good. He was very efficient. Fun fact, great punter. He punted the ball 2 times, and they were both down at the 2-yard line.
The Auburn punter is a good punter?
No, Bo Nix.
Bo Nix is a punter. Oh, shit.
Bo Nix. Gus does this weird thing where we're in the 50 to 30, just outside of our kicker range.
Yeah.
He does 5 wide, puts Bo back there by himself, and Bo literally held the ball for 7 seconds and waited for the defense to come up because they can still technically run a play, you know?
Yeah.
And then as soon as they come up and commit, he goes, boop, just kicks it down the field, down at the 2.
So if he doesn't make it as an NFL quarterback, he can be an NFL punter.
Yep.
Nice.
Leaving doors open.
Bo's got some opportunities. All right, guys. We are going to transition to our last segment. We're going to talk about the picks, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get started with these picks. First thing we're going to talk about is the Jets and Broncos. Now, we don't have any odds.
What an absolute pooper for Thursday night, man.
And we disagree on this, which is even worse. That I'm going to have to, in our rankings, where somebody's going to go up or down based on this game. That's just sad.
It is. It's a sad game.
But yeah, so basically, because of the quarterback change for the Broncos, Bovada does not have the odds as of right now. So we are not picking against the spread on this game, which is okay. No big deal. I will let you go first. Who do you like here?
Yeah, the reason I'm doing it is the Jets. I think the Broncos they're really hurting overall with the absence of Drew Lock, the absence of Cortland Sutton. They just lost Jarrell Casey for the year, too.
Yeah, that's sad.
So add in the fact that I don't think that their third string guy is going to do that well.
Ripen's a serviceable backup.
I'm not even getting into that. not doing it. I just did 3 shots over serviceable backups last week, and I was right, but I was wrong, I guess. So that's
should have said 200.
I think Sam Darnold played a bad game last week. The Colts ate him alive. He was seeing ghosts again. Sam Darnold still has a lot of promise. I have seen some highlights to where he is able to do good, and I think it is going to be just enough to get it done.
What a shitty Thursday night game. They're always kind of shitty. But last week was the Dolphins and the Jags, and at least we thought it was going to be exciting.
Stop. That's bad too. And
no, it was bad, but at least we thought the offense was going to be good. We thought it was going to be an offensive game. That's what I was saying.
This one takes the cake for poopers of Thursday night. Oh, yeah. I don't know why they do this.
I have to bet on this game just to watch it. That's the only way I could watch this game. Is I'm gonna have to put some prop bets or something and just be rooting for somebody.
You want to know the bet that I'm going to bet on?
Let's hear it.
The bet that I will take. LaMichael Pirine.
LaMichael Pirine.
LaMichael Pirine is a Jets running back.
Out of Miami. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Out of Florida. I would look for him to get 8 carries, and I'm going to bet on that. And I'm going to see where the odds line up on it.
8 carries.
8 carries. I think they're going to use him a lot. I think this is going to be one of those ugly games that's going to end like
dirty. You're going to have to take a shower after watching this.
You're going to see a score that you're not used to seeing. You're going to see like 22-14 or something. It's going to look weird. Yeah. 22-16. I don't know.
So I'm not going to spend line on this. I took the Broncos. I think the Broncos, top to bottom, are the better football team than the Jets. I'm not picking the Jets until they prove they can win a game. I don't believe Adam Gase. He's been blown out. I believe every single game this year the Jets have been blown out. At least the Broncos have been able to keep a couple games close. Granted, that was with Drew Lock. Again, this is a coin flip game. I have no problem with if the Jets win, the Jets win. I don't know who's going to win this game. If there was a spread, I wouldn't touch it either way. Let's not spend a lot of time on that. The Broncos are Jets.
One will be right. One will be wrong.
Cardinals go up to Carolina to face the Panthers this week with a line of 4 points. So the Cardinals are favored by 4, 52.5 over under. Cardinals, look, Kyler Murray threw 3 picks last week, and that's the only reason they lost their game. It was just a rough game for Kyler. He needed to kind of get more involved in the run game. You could tell like the Lions were just waiting for Kyler to take the game over, and it would have been over. The Kyler just never did that and lost because of it. Is what it is. I think he gets back on track this week against the Panthers. Panthers have no defense. Panthers offense, the best offensive weapon is gone for this game. I'm thinking the Cardinals win this game by 7 to 10 points. I feel very confident that the Cardinals are going to win this game. I do think it'll be over 52 because I think the Panthers can still score. They can still move the ball around. Weird that DJ Moore still has not been really involved in this offense, and I'm waiting to see what'll happen.
There's a lot of
questions for the Panthers still.
Sell fantasy owners on DJ Moore.
Yeah, I thought the Panthers were going to have a better season in general than they have so far as offensively. I knew their defense wasn't going to be very good. But granted, losing a CMC is just an absolute killer.
And I think that's what it comes down to. And it's one of the reasons I picked the Cardinals, because if CMC was here coming off of a bad Cardinals thing, I think the game script on how to beat the Cardinals is kind of there right now. And one of the main reasons is the lack of the running attack other than Kyler. Yeah. Kenyon Drake really isn't stepping up to the plate.
Kenyon Drake looks bad.
He does.
I'm going to say, look, Kenyon Drake is another one where I'm like, man, every time Chase Edmonds is in, he has an extra spark. And Kenyon Drake, I think they're playing him because they paid him. And look, it just is what it is. Running backs, look, they fall off a fucking cliff. It's running backs and safeties where you can see it. Like, they can be great one week and they can just lose it the next. And it is what it is. It's unfortunate. I'm always one that's willing to cut bait. I loved Kenyon Drake coming into the season. I'm out on Kenyon Drake. I think he's looked bad. I think they're going to eventually transition to Chase Edmonds as the lead back for the Cardinals, because Drake, he's getting 15 to 17 carries a game, and he's putting up 60 yards. It's just not enough.
His usage rate is high. It feels like his energy's low. It just looks you can tell a difference when he's out there. And I think that's one of the things Matt Patricia and Detroit was able to lock onto. They really contained Kyler in the rushing game. He had some highlight plays. It's going to happen. I mean, he's electric. But they made him push the ball down the field. They made him try to attack the middle in some of those weapons. They doubled up DeAndre, and the next thing you know, Jeff Okudah had a great day. He picked him off, and he threw 3 interceptions. Still a great quarterback. He's still going to do a lot of things, and I think the Panthers is the right week to get it back on.
Yeah.
But if the Panthers had CMC, I would have taken him.
Really?
I would have.
Oh, I wouldn't have. So you're not confident. I would have made this a lock if you would have. No, you're good. Okay, we'll pass on that one.
Can't make it a lock.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll move on to the Ravens and Washington. This is a huge line. You feel confident the Ravens are going to have a
it's a 13-point
game. Yeah, I think you were just saying that. 13 points, 47-point over under. I think the Ravens absolutely demolished the Washingtons. 13 points is a lot of points. You can always just get a throwaway touchdown at the end to cover that. I still do have the Ravens covering 13 points. I've never really want to bet on stuff like that, although I do think this is the perfect get-right game after just a bad performance last week from Lamar, bad performance in that offense in general. I mean, it was weird. Andrews couldn't catch anything, just wasn't catching anything.
You're right.
Lamar was just off target all game. The Chiefs looked awesome. They were on their P's and Q's, but that game at least would have been close if Lamar had anything. I mean, I think the Chiefs win either way, but I mean, Lamar he didn't look good in the passing game. He just didn't. I don't think that's something to look forward to throughout the season. I think it was just a bad week for him. It happens. I'm expecting a bounce back. Just like I'm expecting a bounce back from Kyler, I'm expecting a bounce back from Lamar.
Yeah, they're going to have a bounce back week. With Bovada putting this at a 13-point line, though, it's one of the things where we know if it's over 9, we don't really touch it.
Yeah.
And we just can't. It's just one of those things. It's not a smart money move.
We'll still take the Ravens, but we're not. We're not betting
take the Ravens for sure. But I mean, what odds are you going to get for that? I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But what you really want to make your money off of the even money is money lines. That's why they give you that. I'm going to avoid it. I do think they bounce back, and I could easily see them blowing out Washington. It's just one of those things you just can't touch a 13-point line.
Yeah, that's just tough. All right, so we'll move on to the Browns and the Cowboys. The Cowboys are favored by 4.5 points here. I do think the Cowboys win this. but I actually think this is a coin flip game, man. I could see there's plenty of ways I see this game going. It's a 55.5 over under. I don't see it going that way. I don't think this is just a offensive powerhouse kind of game. I actually think this is an opportunity for the Browns defense to show up a little bit and slow down the Cowboys, and for the Browns offense to take control as a run first football team that I think they've wanted to be, but have kind of pushed out a little bit at being it. I don't know if I can say that, but I just did. Whatever. So yeah, I think Browns are going to cover 4.5 points. I think it'll be like a 3-point game one way or the other. I think it's going to hit the under at 55.5. Looks like we actually agree everywhere there.
We do agree everywhere, but we can't lock it because of how thin of a margin we have with that line.
Yeah, for sure.
At 4.5. Like I said, coin flip game. I could go with the Browns. I could see the Browns with the way that they're not trending up, but it's as much as the Cowboys are trending down. It's what makes the Browns look reasonable in this game.
This is a game where I would do a teaser here. The teaser where you buy 6 points and you take a worse odds. The Browns will keep this within 10 points. I feel pretty confident about that. So yeah, I would take a teaser here and take 3 points there. All right.
Yeah. Now here's a game where I think we may have a lock. I'm not going to say it from you because I don't know because it's the Nick Foles led Bears now. So Indianapolis Colts going to Chicago, taking on the Bears. The Bears are a 3-point underdog here. And the over-under set at 45. We agree unanimously. I have the Colts. I have the Colts on the spread, and we have the under over the points. I mean...
Yeah, I don't see any way. Look, the Colts could surprise us. Look,
that's where I was trying to think of a way to give it to the Bears.
We lost one of our locks last week with the Jags coming up and surprising the Colts. So like I guess it could happen. These Colts are going into their fourth game. They should have everything kind of on track, and like they looked like they had it last week. Yeah, I think the Colts win this game. I think they win by a touchdown against the Bears, who just switched quarterbacks. Their offense is okay. Their defense is pretty good. I think the Bears are a good football team. They're not a 3-0 football team, and this line suggests that the Bears are a 3-0 football team, which statistically they are. They, on the field, are not a 3-0 football team.
And that's what makes it a lock for me, is would it be, if it was 6.5 or 8, I couldn't touch it just because I do think with
that's
Nick
where the
Foles,
line should be, though.
Exactly. I think with Nick Foles, he brings a different fold of efficiency to them that really can get you points late and can keep you in games. That's what he's there to do, and rely on your defense. But 3 points, the Colts defense is really, really clicking right now. They had 2 pick sixes.
Yeah.
Xavier Rhodes is playing great last week, and that was really cool to see for me as a Vikings fan. Yeah, Colts take this one.
Same as a Florida State fan, so we're right there with you. All right, so another barn burner. Jaguars have a nice schedule at the beginning, man. Jaguars go up against the Bengals this week, and we disagree pretty much across the board. The Bengals are favored by 3. This is a 4.5 or 49.5 point over under. I'll let you take it away, and then I will tell you why you're wrong.
This was my shot bet.
This is your shot. Oh, okay.
I want Joe Burrow 3 touchdowns.
Joe Burrow 3 touchdowns. Man, I kind of agree with you, though.
Damn.
Well, I mean, it's not that I agree with you, but
I'm sure I can find one later down the road.
I think it could happen. So look, you're where are we? So we're Jaguars, Bengals. Yeah, the Jaguars defense isn't good enough. I think Joe Burrow can easily get 3 touchdowns. Did you not feel
sorry for him with watching Joe Burrow in Philadelphia last week? Yeah, that was sad.
It looks like they didn't want to win the game, honestly.
It was sad, man. The way that he is taking this punishment right now is almost where I don't want him to play. Because right now I know what he is. I can say that in 3 weeks that I've seen. He has the it factor.
He does.
He can make the most out of his weapons. T. Higgins had a really good week in the red zone too. Yeah. You have hit on your picks. Don't kill him. And it just hurts me to say that because this is why I have the Bengals winning and I have the Bengals on the spread. I think Burrow is going to be able to. The Jaguars' defense is rough. I don't think the pass attempt.
Yeah, that's why I just can't.
Is in your face. I understand it. That's why I said 3 touchdowns because a Bengals victory.
I can do 4. I can do 4.
I can't.
Okay,
4 touchdowns from Burrow. That's a lot.
Yeah, but okay, rushing and passing.
That's player of the week. That's that type of stuff though. Mahomes had 5.
Okay, but I'm saying like passing and throwing. I'm giving you 4 total touchdowns, so you can run in. And you can get lucky that way too.
Bengals win by 10.
Bengals win by 10. Okay, I'll take that. Shot bet on Bengals win by 10. Okay, for sure. Yeah, I think so. You think that this line is way off?
Can you give me a 9.5? Because I do
said 10.
Can you give me 9.5? at a 3-shot bet for 9.5 points. I'm giving you.
If it's
6.
If it's exactly 10, we both do 2 shots.
Deal.
All right.
There you go, guys.
Right.
The reason I'm saying that is because Jacksonville's been trending down. they really let me down on Thursday night, not only in my wallet because I had a lot of money bet on the different game script going Jacksonville shootout style.
Yeah, I did too.
I don't know. It was weird. I think Jacksonville's doing the thing where they're playing down to their opponents.
Yeah, I think DJ Chark is going to be back this week, and I think that was what their offense was missing this past week. I think that was a bigger factor than I think anyone expected. Chris Connolly,
you had the Jags too.
Yeah, I thought the Jags. Well, no, I had the Dolphins winning that game.
No, I'm saying you have the Jags in this week.
I do think the Jags win this game against the Bengals. I think again, this is a little bit of a coin flip game. I will take the Jags with 3 points for sure. The fact that you're saying the Bengals win by 10 is pretty crazy in my opinion. I mean, I don't see how the Bengals beat any team by 10 points. I really don't. But look,
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow's a dude, man. I love Joe Burrow. I don't know, man. I look at this Jaguars team and I'm like, look, they have pieces. They're not great. We're never going to sit here and say they're great, but they have some pieces here and there on the defensive line. Has some guys. They have some guys in the back end that are some young players that can do well. Look, Chris Connolly, is that his name? Didn't want to catch the ball for whatever reason. I don't know what it was. Every time he was targeted 8 times, which was too
much. Made me sick to my stomach because I started Laviska.
You started Laviska, who actually had an okay game.
He did, but
it could have been so much better.
Those targets. Take him away from Conley, man. He had so many drop balls.
And Keelan Cole, again, another dude who is the number 2 on that offense when DJ Chark is there. I think they just like him in that number 2 role. That's why Chris Connolly came into that X receiver role. I think Keelan Cole is a sure-handed dude. He catches everything that comes to him. I'm not going to sit here and say he's great, but I was shocking that Keelan Cole didn't get more targets than Conley.
It was a shocking way the game was played on Thursday night. I didn't expect your Dolphins to rise up to the occasion.
With the amount of injuries we had in the secondary, it was a weird game. I picked the Dolphins because I was a little bit of a homer and I thought it was a kind of a coin flip game, but I did not expect the Dolphins to dominate.
Pride yourself in Igbenogany, though. He had a really good game.
Had a great game, didn't he?
He was able to step up for the absence in Byron Jones. Xavier Howard is your number 2, was your number 1 in that game.
Yeah.
That's where he's supposed to be anyways.
Yeah.
So Igby was able to step up and just do everything he was supposed to.
Igby showed up. It was a great game. All right, that's a good one. That'll be a fun game.
Yeah.
That's the second game we disagree on. All right, Bucks Chargers. Take it away. Where are you at with the Bucks and Chargers?
I have the Bucks. It is a 7.5 point favorite for the Bucks, and that's a big line to bet on. I'm not going to lock it, but I do think the Bucks take care of this. Listen, Brady's been playing really well over the past few weekends. Their system is really starting to show me that they can keep themselves in every single game. They have an elite caliber defense. Herbert was okay last week. Mm-hmm. I'm sure Anthony Lynn would have something to say about that. Mm-hmm. But, Herbert can keep you around, and he can throw the ball, and he really relies on...
He's a rookie. He's good. Give him the Chargers aren't going to do shit this year anyway. I don't know what you're trying to fucking play Tyrod Taylor for. Like let the dude, give him a leash, give him a long-ass leash, and let him play some football, man. That's just crazy.
Now, we do have to separate ourselves from this for a second and talk about the malpractice behind the Chargers doctors.
Do you think I think it was just a mistake. I don't think it was malpractice. Do you?
I've heard a lot of weird things about their doctors before. No, it was. I do think it was an accident. I'm not going to say anyone was maliciously trying to hurt Tyrod Taylor.
I got you. I didn't know if that was your
No. I'm saying that if you are an NFL-led doctor, though, you should have the wherewithal to not puncture a lung on a damn pain injection.
If I could remember the dude's name, I would shout it out here. I don't, but I did watch like a YouTube video who's like a doctor who was explaining medical injuries, one of those type of YouTubers. Super interesting video, and it kind of talked about how close the rib bone that you're injecting, like you're injecting the bone. Which is like, that's a fucking shot, man. I can't even imagine. You're injecting the bone, and the lung is like right behind it. So he was actually talking about where it's kind of it's a very close, like it doesn't happen very often, obviously, but it's one of those things where you have to sign a waiver to say this is okay. I understand that there is a possibility of something bad happening. Obviously, something bad happened. Look, I don't. It is what it is. I do agree. You do that, you're probably not going to get your job back. But I mean,
I'll backtrack a little bit on my Anthony Lynn. I came at you last week really hard for defending Tyrod Taylor. I still don't agree with you trashing Herbert. You should not trash your backup. It is still Tyrod's job to lose just because of the circumstances that
I get where he's coming from. That, yeah.
Yes, I understand why you were defending him, but don't say you can't run your offense the same because of Herbert. Herbert's been playing well.
That was kind of shitty.
Herbert has shown a lot of promise
But I do agree with you, and that's kind of something we both kind of realized, I think, after the fact. We're like, we
just didn't know.
I get that you want to say to your teammate, to your team, to your players, because he's a player's coach beyond anything, that, hey, you're not going to lose your job because of injury. You'll lose your job if you don't play well enough, if you're not good enough, but you're not going to lose your job because of injury.
And he's doing a good job in maintaining the locker room there.
But in the NFL, you lose your job to the injury. It just happens.
You shouldn't trash the backup who actually stepped up that week. Yeah. That shouldn't win Herbert the job. Tyrod comes back healthy because of this mishap that's happened. That's fine. But you should uplift Herbert.
But this is what's going to happen. Tyrod's going to come back. He's going to have a Tyrod Taylor game, just a very blah game. They're going to lose by like 7-8 points, and everyone's going to say, man, Herbert could have made that throw. Every Chiefs or every Chargers, YouTube or whatever is going to go down, watch the film, and say, "Man, this throw right here, we've seen Herbert make that. Tyrod can't make it. Oh, this throw right here," and it's totally fair. I'm not shitting on that at all. It's a totally fair point, and we're going to start saying, or we're going to start seeing people say, "Where's Herbert? Why isn't Herbert in?" It's going to be one of those things.
You see a glimpse of him. You see him take the Chiefs to overtime.
Already in a bad spot.
The Bucs win this game, though. Back to it. And
yeah, we went off topic.
No, we did, but the Bucs are going to win this game. They're just an overall better football team. The Chargers have made it 12 games now that they've lost by seven or less. That's impressive.
Yeah.
In a bad way. You would think that this is going to start to go in the other direction. It just doesn't get going this week.
So I do think the Bucs win. I think the Chargers are going to cover 7.5.
Which means it would be 13 games.
Yeah, I do think that's kind of how that's going to go. Look, the Chargers are good enough to keep this within 7. Their defense is definitely good enough to slow down a Bucs team that's not going to have Chris Godwin for a couple weeks. I think that's a huge impact on their team. Chris Godwin is the cog that makes this thing go. I feel like that's too far, but I think he's a huge piece of that.
Mike Evans had 2 catches, 2 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Exactly. God damn, did he really? I didn't know that stat line. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, shit.
Jump ball.
Fuck it. He can do that. I mean, we all know that. So I do think the Chargers cover. I feel pretty confident about this, that the Bucs are going to win and Chargers cover. That's a 7-point window that you're giving me, and I think that's right where it could end up.
Don't hate on the GOAT, man. GOAT's taking care of business.
Yeah, but I mean, he can take care of business and still keep it within 7. So.
True.
So moving on, Saints-Lions. The Saints are favored by 4 points in this game. The over-under is 54.5. I actually think it hits the over, which might be surprising. I think that was kind of a high over, but I'm still saying over on that. I think this is the Saints get back game. I know I've said that a couple times already. I think the Saints are going to crush the Lions. I think the Saints are a better football team, top to bottom. This line is a 4-point line only because the Saints have lost the past 2 weeks. This is one of those games where I feel like this is a easy, like the lines are wrong because you're looking at the past 2 weeks and you're getting cold feet. I'm not going to get cold feet on Drew Brees on that offense. I'm not going to get cold feet on this defense that's still playing pretty okay.
And Michael Thomas coming back.
And Michael Thomas might be coming back. We don't know that yet. But, I mean, either way, I think this offense is going to be fine. I think they're going to take care of business with the Lions. They're Lions, man. I'm not sitting here expecting the Lions to be able to keep up with the Saints offense. I'm just not.
Yeah, I have the Saints winning, Saints covering. I pick the under because of Drew Brees' how they slowly.
Yeah, I can see it hitting.
They slowly move down the field. They're willing to control the game, and I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
I have Matt Stafford in fantasy in a few leagues, and I'm still waiting for that game where he truly shows up and does the 354 touchdowns. Oh my God, Matt Stafford is here.
Oh yeah,
hasn't happened yet. He's played well. He hasn't played bad, but he hasn't. And I don't think it's going to happen this week against the Saints defense. So I think we can lock it. We need to lock the line and the pick only though.
Oh yeah, we only lock the spread really.
Exactly.
That's kind of how we do it.
It is a lock for us.
Yeah, so we'll take the lock there. I feel good about that. I really do.
I do too.
Yeah. So
you said, the reason that the line is there is because the Saints are 1-2, but they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah. They played quality opponents.
They really have. They caught the Raiders on a really good game on their first home game in LA or in
their
Las
first
Vegas.
Absence of Mike Thomas.
Exactly. They lost Mike Thomas for that game, and then they caught the Packers. I mean, it's just a tough Sunday night game. Just is what it is. All right, this game we might agree on this too. I don't want to lock it just because it's my Dolphins.
I don't want to lock it either because of the way that y'all been playing.
Yeah. So Seahawks go to Miami this week. It is a 7-point line for the Seahawks. That feels low to me. It does. So 54.5 over under. Dolphins can score points. Seahawks are definitely willing to give up some points here and there. But I do have the Seahawks covering 7 points. I think this is a little bit of a blowout game. I'm taking the under because what I think is going to happen is I think it's going to be like a 30-13 type of game.
Your Dolphins just don't do their job.
Exactly. Yeah. And even 37-13 would still be that would be 50. So that would be under. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. I think this is a blowout. type of game. I think the Dolphins are just not as talented. And look, they looked pretty good against the Jags. They did, but I mean, we're not going to get excited about that on a Thursday night. And they looked okay against the Bills, but I mean, we've seen the Bills let teams stick around. We've seen the Bills let the Rams stick around. They didn't let the Jets stick around, but the Jets are the Jets. So I mean, you know, I'm not sitting here saying that the Bills are they're not putting away games.
Seattle.
No, I'm talking about the Dolphins playing the Bills in week 2.
Oh, heard. Yeah,
sorry, sorry. Maybe I'm going too far down the rabbit hole a little bit. Hey, all in all, I'm just saying the Dolphins are not a team that I expect to keep up with the Seahawks. So I'll leave it at that.
Russell Wilson MVP right now.
Yeah.
He is continuing just this perfectionist form.
Yep.
But as good as he's playing, these games are still close with the Cowboys, with the Patriots. So those are not in the same field as the Dolphins, of course.
Yeah.
The Hawks get it. The Hawks cover. I do think the over happens because of some garbage Dolphins, Ryan Fitzpatrick tosses, which can happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hawks cover this, no problem.
Yeah. Are you willing to lock this, or you don't want to? You can, if you're feeling weird about it. Our record on locks are really important to me. That's what I want to keep going.
And that's something that's very important to me too. And the only reason I'm tentative to do it is because of how wrong I was behind Jacksonville and the Dolphins on how that game went.
That's fair. Look, that's
Seattle is leaps and bounds above Jacksonville, though.
Listen, that's why we do the locks. We want to have both of our heads together. We want to feel really good about it. So we won't lock that. That's totally fine. We'll move on to another blowout type of game. The Giants and the Rams. The Rams are favored by 13 points, 47.5 over under. I do think that the Rams win this game. I think the Giants keep it close. The Rams haven't proven to me they're going to blow out anybody. So I'm taking the Giants to cover. Don't feel good about that at all, but at 13.5 points, or 13 points, excuse me. Yeah, I'll take the Giants to cover with a bad offense, a decimated offense to injury. We'll see what happens there. And I do think it hits the under. I don't know why. I think this is like a 20-17 type of game.
I agree. I have the Rams winning, the Giants covering, and the under. Kind of falls in the same thing. I think the Rams are perfectly content with running the ball, grinding some clock out.
Darrell Henderson looks like the dude.
He really does. And I'm glad to say that I invested stock in every single one of them, so I knew one of you would hit. I was 1 for 3, but I got the one in Darrell Henderson. I'm hoping that it keeps like that.
Yeah.
Giants really don't have that offensive firepower, and losing Saquon. Daniel Jones, I still think he is good. I still like some of their pieces. Their interior offensive line is pretty bad. Their tackles are kind of hurt. You know, it's rough.
Yep.
They're not going to be able to put up enough points to get over this. And like I said, I think the Rams are content with running the ball out.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great take, and it'll be not a game I'm going to pay a lot of attention to, but you know, maybe the Giants can show up and surprise us, and we'll see what we know about them. Bills Raiders, I think this is probably the best game of the week as far as like matchups go, and maybe we might disagree with that in the next game we talk about. But Bills Raiders, I think, is going to be a great game. Raiders the Bills are favored by 3 points. This is in Las Vegas, so I guess that's technically a 6-point favorite if you're counting home field. I don't know what they're doing right now. Over under 52 points. I'm taking the Bills to win and the Raiders to cover. I know that's a tight window. I do think the Bills win this game. Just intrinsically I do, but I think this is a coin flip, and in coin flip games I always go with the points. So I'll take the points with the Raiders.
Even if it's a 3-point window. So you think it's like 28-27. Gotta be.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it has to go. And I understand I'm kind of hedging my bets here, saying one of these things are going to be right.
You're pretty much letting everyone know that it would not surprise you if the Raiders take this game.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised either. I took the Bills, I took the points just because I know that Josh Allen, this level that he has been playing at, this is MVP caliber Josh Allen if Russell isn't running away with it right now.
Yeah.
It really is. I think we need to give him some props here. He has shown up. The first 2 weeks it was like, okay, he's good, but these weren't amazing teams.
Yeah.
What he did last week against the Rams in an Aaron Donald-led defense Rams, Jalen Ramsey and the secondary Rams was very impressive to me. What were you typing? What were you doing?
I just changed it. That's
fine. I understand. I'm taking the Bills. That's fine. Take the Bills.
Taking the Bills to cover.
Josh Allen's got this game. I really think that the way that they run their offense, man, it seems like he's flipped the switch. I don't know. Yeah. It's too soon to say that he's the guy, to say that I was right. I'm a big Josh Allen homer. I always have.
We both
really
were.
Like him. Yeah.
I'll be perfectly honest. I hedged my bets on this one. I really did. I really thought like fuck, I'm scared of I'm scared of Josh Allen's inaccuracies.
It was one of those things, man, where if you're wrong, you can be wrong.
Yeah, so I was definitely nervous, but I mean, look, I'm a little disappointed in myself for hedging my bets. Usually, I just kind of stick to my guns. I didn't with this one. I do believe in Josh Allen. You know, I've been a fan of his for years now, so he's been playing awesome. I'm really excited about him. I am gonna say I did switch it over to the Bills covering. I just kind of thought about it. I was like, man, that's such a tight window, and I do think the Bills are gonna win this game. They can easily win by 3 points. I think this could easily be a push game too. But the reason I'm staying away from the Raiders this week as far as covering is because I think Henry Ruggs being gone is a huge hit to that offense, and Josh Jacobs has had some kind of injury issue in game for the past 2 weeks. So people aren't going to really realize that, he's played and it's been great, but like, it's just kind of, he's been getting banged up. So maybe they might go away from giving him the full workload this week, which would definitely hurt them. Bills are a good football team on both sides of the ball. Like you said, even without a Josh Allen in that offense, which is awesome, you still have a defense that's really good. And Sean McDermott is awesome defensive mind. So yeah, I think this game does go to the Bills. I would not surprise me a bit if the Raiders win this though.
So where does this stack up in the AFC? Assuming the Bills win this game, you can't really assume that this is going to be a good game, like we said.
Well, we could say if the Bills win this game.
If the Bills win, they're 4-0.
Yeah.
I'll give you 5 teams: the Bills, the Patriots, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Titans. Lay them out for me 1 through 5. And in a tier system, if you will, too. Like, are the Bills legit? Is pretty much the question.
Chiefs, Ravens are still in the top. Look, one bad game from the Ravens.
Separated.
Yeah, and that's the tier. And then I'll say the Bills are right there next, and then you go Bills, Patriots, Titans, and honestly, I think
any other team that I'm missing out of that.
Yeah, honestly, man. Okay, so actually, you know what I'm going to say? I think the Bills, Steelers, and Patriots should all be in a tier. Maybe Patriots ahead of Steelers. I think that should be a tier. And then it's the rest of the good teams. Then it's the Colts, the Titans, and whatever other teams you want to say are in that next tier down. I do think the Bills are really good. I'm not obviously ready to say they're elite. I do think they're the top of that next tier. The only reason I'm saying they're ahead of the Patriots right now, which is contradictory to my preseason picks. But I do think they're better than the Patriots because I think they run a very similar offense, but they have more weapons and more ability to they have more things
you can only
they can
ask
do with
so
it.
much of Cam right now.
Yeah, well, and look, we always joke that Josh Allen is the white Cam Newton, right?
Yeah.
They have a very similar type of play, right? Big arm, not incredibly accurate, but accurate enough, and can make some plays with your legs. The difference is the Patriots don't have a Stephon Diggs. The Patriots don't have
They don't even have a John Brown.
Yeah, they don't have a John Brown. It's another guy. I was even going to go as far as the Devin Singletary. The Patriots' run game isn't great. Sony Michel has not shown up. I mean, I think I would argue JJ Taylor might be their most explosive running back.
Sony Michel had a really good week. Rex Burkhead had a 3-touchdown week.
Rex
which
Burkhead
was
had
different.
an awesome game. Yeah.
Yeah. Since we're talking about the Patriots, I'll go ahead and move it on to the next game. And this is what I would say would be the game of the week because I do think it's going to be a good one.
I get it.
The Patriots, the Chiefs. Chiefs are a 7-point favorite as they should be. 54 points is the over/under. I have the Chiefs. I have the Pats covering. I took the under. We do agree across the board. I don't think the Chiefs are going to come out and do what they had to last week. Pat Mahomes is on a damn warpath. And we already talked about the masterminds of Andy Reid and Mahomes lining up and what they're able to do together. Mm-hmm. It is just out of this world. I could see the Chiefs taking it and running away with it, no problem, just because he's out to take some fucking names.
Yeah.
But the Patriots are a good team in Belichick. If there's a guy who can sort of kind of get this thing under one thing, it'd be a low-scoring defensive game is what he wants to make it.
Oh, of course, yeah. No,
Control the clock with Cam.
I think you're absolutely right. The thing for the Patriots, and when they face the Chiefs, we've seen this enough times where I feel pretty confident. The Patriots can match up with the Chiefs man on man, and that is the big difference. I think actually Clyde Edwards-Helaire might be Helaire, not Hilaire, because we were pronouncing the H all offseason. That was wrong. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be a factor. I really believe out of the backfield because that's the forgotten man. I feel like on offense for the Chiefs as far as like being able to get the ball to a playmaker. But the Chiefs are going to have the receivers locked down. I do believe that they are one of the few teams in the NFL that have the personnel to play man on man with these speedy receivers. There's not a lot of teams in the NFL that can do it.
Patriots match up well with the Chiefs.
Patriots defensively match up well against the Chiefs offensively. Granted, Patrick Mahomes is another animal. Like you're never going to match up perfectly against a Patrick Mahomes. I do think like I said, the running back factor is a different factor than we've seen in the past, and it might be a factor in this game. But all in all, this is going to be a close game. I think a 7-point line is kind of crazy to me. I really do. I don't see how the Patriots don't keep this close. I mean, they have a team that is built to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. And they have a player in Cam Newton that can take over games just like Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying it's the same level.
I'm so glad we get to say that again.
Yeah, it's not to the same level, obviously. But, I mean, Cam Newton has proven he can take over games. He was one play away from beating a Seattle team that's an absolute baller.
And even last week, his stat line wasn't fantasy-wise popping off the charts for you. But
did enough to win the game.
And that is what Bill Belichick is going to require of him.
Exactly.
You are not going to need to run Cam. You're not going to need to get that busted-up Cam by week 12. Mm-hmm. Cam is just as capable as going out there. I think he threw for 180. He ran for 50, and he had 2 touchdowns total on the day, or maybe just one.
I had him in one league. He put up like 18, 19 points. He didn't lose you the week, but it wasn't like a monster game, which is fine. Yeah, I feel like we actually agree with the rest of the games. I was just looking at that. We're in agreement a lot here.
Not going to lock this Patriots-Chiefs games, but I'm very excited to watch it.
Very, very excited to watch it. I will tell you this next game, because we got 2 left on the docket to talk about. Eagles 49ers. We locked the 49ers last week. I am willing to lock the 49ers again this week. Eagles play a different NFC South, or not NFC South, NFC North,
NFC West.
NFC West. God, I'm all over the place. They play the Eagles, and they played the Giants last week, blew them out. Now they play the Eagles, who are just decimated with injuries. I understand the Eagles are better than the Giants. I don't think they're that much better than the Giants. I'm going to be honest. Maybe that's a bold take. I don't know. The 49ers are favored by 7 points, a 45-point over-under. I don't think that's enough. I think the 49ers, Nick Mullins, it was not that much of a drop-off from Jimmy Garoppolo.
3 for 300.
I mean, just point blank, I mean, seriously, like, it doesn't matter. That was not enough of a drop-off for me to be worried about it. They're getting Deebo Samuel back. Brandon Ayuk put up like 21 fantasy points. Don't know what his stat line was, but I know his fantasy points because I had him in one league because I had to. So look, I do think the 49ers are going to blow them out. The 49ers are just so lucky. I mean, they really are. Look, they've had terrible luck with injuries, but they have gotten to play teams that they can beat. They've gotten to play. They've had the best opportunity to have injuries. If you're going to have injuries when your record is the Jets, Giants, and Eagles. I mean, that's who they've gotten to play. Yeah, not worried about that at all. I feel pretty confident about this, man. I really do.
I'm confident about it. And by the way, I messed up in saying that the 49ers reside in the NFC West. The 49ers are playing back-to-back NFC East opponents.
Thank you.
Eagles. Yeah, I was looking at the 49ers.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm willing to lock this game. Right. 7-point spread is bold.
It is bold.
It is bold with a backup in Nick Mullins, and I'm not going to sit here and tout Nick Mullins for anything more than what he could be. He does well under a Kyle Shanahan game script, and that's what he is able to do.
He's
a serviceable
backup.
He's a serviceable backup.
We were 1 for 1 on that last week.
Now, Carson Wentz, on the other hand, in this Eagles team, man, hit the panic button. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's the guy, because he still has that excuse of injuries and lack of weapons.
Wentz is not the problem in Philadelphia, in my opinion. Look, if Philadelphia fans want to get mad, we're paying this guy so much money, I would be more mad if I'm a Rams fan paying Jared Goff that much money. I'm serious. Look, I get that maybe that's kind of a shitty thing to say. I don't care. Jared Goff has been average because he's an average quarterback, and that's fine. Carson Wentz is doing everything he can, and that's all you can ask him to do. He has no weapons. Who are you starting? Deshaun Jackson went out.
Ward Jr.
Greg Ward. Your Dallas Goedert is hurt for a couple weeks now. Zach Ertz can't do it by himself. I mean, he's a great tight end, but great tight ends need guys on the outside, so you're not keying in on the great tight end. That's how that works. I mean, you can't ask him to do much more. He doesn't have a good look. The running back is okay. Miles Sanders is fine. He's a good running back, but like if you're behind, that doesn't help you a whole lot. It's just their defense sucks. Their defense line's okay, but I mean it's just bad. It's a bad situation.
But they're not going to pair up well with probably one of the best free agent signings in the 49ers and Trent Williams.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is elite. That's what's able to protect Nick Mullins, and Kyle Shanahan is smart enough to be able to game script these runs and control this game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think we're on the same page. Lock it. That puts us 3 locks. I don't think we're going to lock this one. I don't want to anyway.
We won't lock the next one, yeah.
Yeah, so last game of the week, Monday night, not as good of a primetime week as last week was, but here we are.
I think this is a good game.
This will be a fun game to watch for sure.
Fun offensive game.
Packers Falcons on Monday night. Packers are favored by 7.5 points. The over-under is 58, and they could easily hit the over. Hit the over. I have the Packers winning, Falcons covering. I know that sounds crazy. This is exactly what's going to happen. The Falcons are going to go up by like 30 points in the first half and then just give it all away in the second, and it'll be like a 3-point game.
We agreed on this. We agreed on the Packers winning, the Falcons covering, and the over.
I told you we agreed for like the last 4 games.
And we block out our picks too, so I can't see what John's thinking. and he can't see what I'm thinking. I agree. I hope Julio is back. I hope Russell Gage is good. I'm not sure exactly the severity of his injury.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Matt Ryan is an elite quarterback, and it's going to be fun to watch these two guys and Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan really go at it. I think the difference is going to be the Packers' defense. Yep. That is what the Falcons do not have at all.
None.
Injuries included. I mean, injuries is one of the things that took what this was a good defense and brought them back down. It knocked them all the way down. So Packers win. Falcons keep it close.
Last thing, and then we'll close it out, right? Because that was the last game, and I think we agree on that. Why do the Packers insist on running Williams, their backup running back?
It's one of those things that goes back in my head to Matt LaFleur being on the Tennessee Titans.
Get it.
And he did it with Derrick Henry and Deion Lewis.
I know, but I mean,
is it smart? No, he shouldn't.
Literally, and look, they beat the Saints, so no one's going to talk about this, but I will talk about it. Every single time Aaron Jones got the ball on, like just ran the ball like a normal running back, 10 yards, explosive. I mean, just easy. Every single time Williams gets the ball, 2 yards, 3 yards, nothing. Like, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Maybe he's keeping his legs fresh. It killed me last year because I was watching in a fantasy stance. That's what he was doing.
And then the other thing that kills me, and look, Aaron Jones had a fine game. I think he got into the end zone. It was okay, whatever. Then the other thing that kills me, that just absolutely like irks me to my core, is the fact that they're playing their third running back as like their playmaker, wide receiver type of gadget guy because, you know, Devontae Adams is out and they had to get creative. That's fine. Great. Do that. A.J. Dillon was your second round pick at running back. Like, that is just, look, and I get it. I get it. They don't need him, and that's fine. And maybe this is just a picky thing. But here's my thing. And here's really what pisses me off about it. Is that is just a like textbook account of having no understanding of draft capital value. You thought you needed a running back? Great. Get one in the 5th round if you weren't going to start him right away. You draft a running back in the 2nd round because you need a running back to start. Like, and am I crazy? Like, that's what you do.
I was about to say, don't back down and save the Packers now. This is the epitome of what the Packers have done for the last, I would say, 20 years. They did it when Brett was there, too.
Yeah.
They constantly have great talent, and they go into the draft, and they literally said, we'll throw away our 1st and 2nd round pick for 2 years now because you just re-signed Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
Did they not?
Yeah, they paid Aaron Jones.
So Aaron Jones is going to be the guy.
Jamal Williams is still the backup, and then you have your third string 32, which I never knew this kid's name. I'm not gonna lie. 32 is in there as your running back gadget dude, and I didn't see AJ Dillon didn't get one snap.
Yeah, they're not willing to use AJ Dillon. Aaron Rodgers is playing elite. He has 3 more years left before we're even talking about maybe they're done, maybe they're not. So that's Jordan Love's almost option contract year.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You were 13-3 last year. Get you some damn weapons to where you can go win a championship before this window is closed, before you are looking like the Minnesota Vikings who don't know where to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, they're playing well, and no one's going to shit on them now. But like, I don't think the fact that they're 3-0 means that we should just let that go.
They're not buying themselves for the future right now.
They're not. I mean,
but the problem is they're not investing in the now either.
The thing is, like, I would love to. We might do this next week, and we'll go back. It might be nerdy, but go back and look at the guys they could have had that would already be having an impact right now that they could have taken the 1st or 2nd round. Because I guarantee there's guys. I guarantee there's names.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy. But yeah, that's it for me, man.
Yeah, we'll close it out now. We will have a jersey up for y'all next week too. Yes. We still got to get our last one sent out, so we've just been struggling a little bit with that.
Yeah, I went out of town.
It was a birthday and
couple
stuff.
Weeks. Yeah, it was fun time, but we got a little bit backtracked. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Go on your favorite podcast listening app and click the auto download button so we get those downloads every single week. Really helps us. Give comments, reviews, all that good stuff. Peace out, guys. See you next week.
7.